Each year, our students choose a student from their graduating class to share a few words for their peers. We have 3 students speaking today, and I would like to now introduce our graduate student speaker, Karla Bernardo. Karla is a lawyer from the Philippines. She received her JD and creative writing degrees from the University of the Philippines. She interned for the Philippine Supreme Court and has been published in the Philippine Law Journal twice for articles on copyright and fair use. She also, while at Franklin Pierce, helped to co-found the Asian Pacific American Law Students Association, APALSA, and last January she was selected to present a paper at the International Trademark Association Scholarship Symposium. After getting her LL.M, she's going back to Manila to resume her position as an associate at an IP law firm and as a part-time professor. Welcome, Karla.
Good afternoon to the President, our distinguished guests, our deans, our faculty members, our family and loved ones, and of course, my fellow graduates. It is my absolute honor and pleasure to stand before you today as we celebrate this joyous occasion. When people ask me why I dreamt of becoming a lawyer, I always give my default official answer, which is I want to help people solve their problems. And the real answer, though, is because I watched Ally McBeal as a child and thought it would be cool to go to court in the morning and then hang out at a bar every night. I'm glad the reference is not lost on many of you because it was a pretty old show. But well, just for those who are unfamiliar, Ally McBeal was a show about lawyers in a Boston law firm with a kooky, zany, funny girl like Ally making it to partner. And every night they go to a bar where a pianist sings a song that somehow always relates to a case they just argued, or their relationship troubles, or just what the episode was about in general. And always perfect timing with that song. And Robert Downey Jr. also falls in love with her there. It was pretty old. It was so camp and funny and overly melodramatic, and they even had a unisex bathroom in their office, so it was pretty much ahead of their time. And it's streaming now on Hulu if you want to do a marathon, since we're all graduating. But I'm not sponsoring anything. I'm not an influencer. So I come from the Philippines, where I have already been a lawyer for 3 years, and I came here to learn more about intellectual property and how it impacts the world we are living in. I actually went straight into an IP law firm after my own law school graduation back home and didn't bother trying other fields of practice because I was so sure that I wanted to be in a field that was devoid or far removed from human emotion. Because in law school, I participated in our own legal aid clinic where we were tasked to handle indigent clients. And I will admit that back then, I thought I would not have the emotional capacity to handle criminal and family law cases to earn a living because it was too heavy. I couldn't take it. So off to IP I went, where I thought there's no human element at all, only corporations and machines and brands. And then I went on to practice and met artists who have had their art stolen, or companies who are fighting on behalf of individuals who got duped into buying counterfeit medicines. And when I got here for my LLM, I came to learn about machines, learning and perpetuating human biases, of data that is largely placed behind paywalls and inaccessible to the marginalized, of artworks being stolen from indigenous tribes, and of people's artistic creations being devalued because they are being taken on by bigger entities. And then it hit me. There is no law practice that does not involve human emotions. It's impossible. As lawyers, we are always taught to be neutral, to just look at the hard facts, and to just see what's on the paper. The people, they're just names in the case titles. The story behind it, they're just fact patterns. And perhaps many will say this will make you better lawyers because you shouldn't let emotions get the best of you when dealing with clients in cases. It's just a job. I'll do what I have to do and call it a day. But then, as the last 2 years have shown us, the last 2 years of unprecedented after unprecedented of times, do we really make everything better when we prevent ourselves from being humans? When we see people only as a means to get to the end, do we actually help them? Or do we just contribute to band-aid solutions that do nothing to prevent the bigger picture from falling apart? I posit that when we try to see the human on the other side of the fence, we will find more similarities than differences. And it's only when we acknowledge each other's actual, valid, and human needs that we truly bridge the gap. I finished reading a book this year, and just a book, and not a law book, but just one non-law book, called Humankind, A Hopeful History by Rutger Bregman. It proposes a radical idea that most people, deep down, are actually kind. Contrary to what we've been told all our lives, that man is inherently evil, the author believes that history says we are actually good. To suggest that we are not is to create a self-fulfilling prophecy. We become more selfish, untrustworthy, and dangerous because we have been told that we are selfish, untrustworthy, and dangerous. But the truth is, our inherent tendency to cooperate and work together is the reason why we are able to build pyramids, cathedrals, spaceships, and let's face it, licensing agreements after thorough negotiations of each provision. Recently, we had our presidential election back home, and the candidate I was supporting, an economist, human rights lawyer, and our current vice president, lost against the opposing party's machinery of disinformation. A lot of us are devastated because it feels like our institutions are falling apart. But despite all this, her message still rings true for me. It's radical to love, a radical form of kindness to look inside ourselves as individuals and as a community and find out what can bring us together in order to serve the greater good. Believing in the goodness of humanity may be a radical act. We may all be different, with different beliefs and ideals. But hopefully, at the end of the day, acts of kindness that are extended to people who are different from us can push people into action, to call for justice, to be compassionate, and to be fair. I hope that as we leave UNH Law and walk away with our degrees, we never lose sight of what makes us human. The world is harsh. It seems that in every country there is turmoil and suffering. And I know this having talked to my LLM classmates about the unique problems each of our countries have. Let us not use the excuse of being lawyers to simply ignore the humanity of our profession. Our words matter to those who listen to us, in whatever field of practice we are in. We are here to solve problems. We provide answers. We serve people. Sometimes we go out and have drinks after a long day's work, even if it's just a Wednesday. But it keeps us going, and hopefully it keeps us human. Let's never forget it. Congratulations, class of 2022. We did it.
Thank you, Karla. I would now like to introduce our residential JD student speaker, Gwendolyn Perry.